Hey guys, just a quick update on Jackson, Kentucky in Breathitt County. Joseph, Jayden Spicer's stepdad, was just booked and charged for assisting with the murder of that young boy. It would seem as though it was the mother that poisoned him with the cough syrup and he assisted. But either way, I hope they rot in the deepest pit of hell. I hope they charge them to the fullest extent of the law and they never see the light of day. I could never understand how anybody could do that to their own child and then play off of everybody's sympathy and act like they didn't do anything. I watched Fred and Sheila McCoy and their channel. They were the people that found Joseph Couch. I figured it was going to get interesting when they showed up. Now, from what I learned about this Fred guy is he's a retired police officer. And what I thought was interesting when he showed up to assist with the search party was that when he rolled up, even he commented, "Where's the search party? Where are the people that were looking for this child?" When they were looking at the brush around the mobile home, none of the brush was disturbed or broken as though anybody walked in to just check the most immediate surrounding area. And another thing that they pointed out was a bag of child's clothing across the street in a clear plastic bag. Now, when Fred brought that up to this boy's father, Joseph, Joseph, he said the state police put it over there. And that someone said there was mold on the clothes, but when Sheila was going through them, they looked clean. They looked like some of them was even separated underwear and socks into plastic bags. Also, having a police background, Fred was quick to point out that there was only one set of footprints over on that side of the road, and they were smaller footprints, like it could have been Jayden who may have put it over there. So that didn't seem to match up. He looked over there and he said there was no indication even across the street where those clothes were that there was anybody that searched that area. And I really have to point the finger at Post 13 because I'm telling you, that particular state police post is crooked as shit. They gave us a raw deal, and because they make up charges to just try to ramp up fees or whatever, they ended up slipping up and we had our case thrown out. But that was Officer Kevin Day. That guy's a drug dealing scumbag. But you got a lot more people, low IQ, poorly educated, ego tripping assholes like him in Post 13. And these are the guys in charge of an investigation? Oh my God, it's no wonder it took them so long. What a horrible place to die. You know, and he even voiced his frustrations about how state police in Kentucky will lie to people and the media. Like, I don't know, maybe they just did a little bit about that so-called search effort. It's just a terrible place to live. It's a terrible place to die. And, I mean, God have mercy on their souls. That Joseph guy, I would rat him out in the jail. Put them in general population and then let the guys sort it out. You know what I'm saying? That should be instant death penalty once it's irrefutable that you partook in such a heinous act against a minor or against anybody, especially a minor. You should get the Dahmer treatment. You remember what they did to him, right? And it just shows you how Child Protective Services just doesn't care about children. They're a business. They took this kid out of a situation. His grandma died. That was unfortunate. She couldn't help that. But they dropped him in a situation that there were signs that something like this could have happened. I found that in that part of the country, in East Kentucky, it seems like even foster parenting is more of a business than anything. I've made deliveries in some of them hollers where they were fostering young children and there were roaches climbing the walls in swarms, man. I can't believe that anybody would even turn children loose in the custody of people who live under certain conditions, like many people in some of these more impoverished areas of East Kentucky, actually, you know, the way they live. There had to be somebody better suited to take custody of that child. When me and the wife was down there, we saw there was a need. We saw the drugs, we saw the crime, and we looked into foster parenting. And of course, you know, they wanted to pull us through this process of background checks, drug tests, things like that, references. They wanted us to keep the children as close to the families as possible. But those very things they were checking me for, this lady was actually guilty of. And they just, there you go, just drop the kid off, no problem, don't worry about it. It's his mother. What could possibly go wrong? Child Protective Services has to be held accountable. Low-income areas like that should not be allowed to use foster parenting as a source of income. They need to go back and seriously review anybody in these low-income, high-drug, high-crime areas that are fostering children and take a very close look at them. I'm telling you, going back to Rent-A-Center, I've delivered furniture to houses of people who were fostering, and there were cockroaches just up and down the walls like crazy, but they were going to give us this long 6 to 12 month drawn out process before we could have the opportunity to help out. It would be great to see us take some of this money we're sending overseas to fund foreign wars and use some of it to spend back at home for something a little more meaningful, like a nice air-conditioned facility, if they must keep these children close to their family. But if, you know, you're talking about communities that are small, that's rampant with drug abuse and alcoholism and violent crime, gun charges, child abuse, then, I mean, we've got to create a better option, because right now, just dumping them off like they did Jayden on his mother is not the right way to go. This one has me sick because I knew how it was going to turn out, and I just think, you know, if they only went a little bit easier on us, I mean, who knows who we would have had to foster, but they made it so much of a headache for normal people, you know, they just, and I'm just going to use my time and energy somewhere else, I suppose. Alright guys, I appreciate you watching the video. If you haven't already, don't forget to click like and subscribe. That about does it for this one, and we'll see you in the next one. So until then, we'll holler at you later.